Experience Karen Hunter
in a completely different way.
Karen Hunter is awesome. The podcast.
If you like me on SiriusXM Urban View Channel 126, you're gonna love me. And Karen Hunter is awesome. Hey, this is Karen Hunter, host of the Karen Hunter Show on SiriusXM's Urban View. Karen Hunter is awesome is an actual podcast to bring heat and energy and knowledge and power. A 1-2 punch that I don't think you get anyplace else. Tell the truth. Check out the podcast wherever you get your podcast. You will not be disappointed. Fran Lebowitz was interviewed recently, and you said something that she also said. And I said, about these people. This is not Republicans. It's not about Democrats. It's not liberals. It's not conservatives. This is something else. This is a cult, and it's a cult rooted not in anything that makes any damn sense at all. So play the Fran Lebowitz clip while I find this.
Do you think that the Democrats, you talk about the Democrats a lot, do you think that the Democrats have learned anything about those people that Hillary Clinton called the deplorables?
I think that it's very hard for people who are reasonable to understand these Republicans. So I always say to people, it's very easy. First of all, they're not Republicans. They're anarchists. I know the left in the United States, a lot of them pride themselves on being anarchists, but they're not. The Republicans are anarchists. They're destroyers of government, destroyers of democracy. So Democrats are always trying to analyze them. Why do they think this? Why do they think that? And I said, a 6-year-old could tell you what's wrong with these people. They are mean and they are stupid. And it's as simple as that. They pride themselves on their stupidity, their ignorance, and their meanness. They're really mean. The things that they want to do, like let's not give any food. We have something in the United States called food stamps, which is if you don't make enough money to buy food, the government can give you these stamps, which you can use to buy food. This is something they're very much against, and at the same time that they're very much proclaiming their Christianity, which is, I always say, look, I'm not an expert in Jesus, okay, but I feel like food stamps, Jesus might have had that idea himself, so they're very mean and they're really stupid and they're very proud of their ignorance.
Let me just ask you this, because Bernie Sanders has been saying, and said in fact on our program recently, that he wanted Australians to understand that all of those people voting MAGA, voting Trump, are not racist. They're people who have suffered financially.
Well, he's wrong. He's wrong. He's often wrong, Bernie Sanders, by the way. So he is wrong. They are racist. Racism is the central appeal of Trump. They're misogyny and racism. Racism first, and then misogyny. So that Bernie Sanders is just wrong about that. I mean, there are many people who suffered. Of course, there are people who suffer. But if you're talking about people, what Trump talks about and what other people like Trump talk about is, I'm going to bring back the 1950s. That's what they talk about. I'm going to bring back the 1950s. I'm going to bring back what they're talking about. I'm going to bring back industry to the United States.
You wouldn't like to go back to the 1950s, would you?
I would not.
Who would? I know. Fran Lebowitz, author, public, humorist, actor. She's spot on, and Bernie Sanders is wrong. It is about racism, even though some of those same people, because some of those same racists support you. That doesn't make them any less racist. So don't provide them with coverage. Call them what they are, unless you don't have the courage of your convictions. You're out there in them streets. I know your background, Bernie Sanders. You fight for injustice. You grew up in New York with people with tattoos from the camps, concentration camps. You march with King, one of the few people that did, because not a whole lot of folk did. I know where your heart is, but you're wrong on this. This has always been about taking us back to the 50s when black people had to jump off of curbs. Where there was an opportunity for advancement for everyone, but for white folk, white middle class was built, right? Women couldn't vote, had to stay in the house, watch soap operas and cook and clean. This is what they want, right? And so it's racism, misogyny. They're the same ilk, and she's absolutely right. Thoughts and prayers.
She's absolutely right. First of all, Fran Lebowitz and Billy Crystal are that's my dream dinner, and it would be bagels at a shop in Brooklyn. I need that to happen. So I just want to put that in the universe. My Jewish auntie and uncle. But she's right, and she's very right to point out, let's be clear, Bernie Sanders is the biggest progressive or liberal, whatever you want to call him, star, but he ain't right all the time. Bernie Sanders has been wrong a lot over the course of the 10-year Bernie Sanders experiment. But, oh, by the way, let us not cut Bernie Sanders' head off, because whatever he's proposing is better than what's happening with this administration. And frankly, it's probably, in my view, better than what would be happening with a lot of your more traditional centrist Democrats who have effectively been an accommodationist regime for the corporatized oligarchy over the last 30 years. So let's just start there.
And I'm glad you did that, because, we tend to, just because we say somebody is fundamentally wrong on that one issue, we want to toss him away. No, he cannot be tossed away, because he's still out there at 80-something doing work 99% of these people are not doing. So we can check at the same time.
Yes, and has been out there a long time and resonates with a lot of people and has a very unique understanding of the remnants and origins of oligarchy, because that is not where we're headed, but that's where we are. What he does not understand is what this life is like as an Afro-American. And, when you think about it, not only is Bernie Sanders an old man, and not only is he an old white man of relative privilege, but he's also regionally quite isolated. This is a man of the upper Northeast, like not New York and Philly. No. New England, right? Where you truly probably have not come of age around a whole lot of Black people. So you don't understand the experience of not only your peers, but your peers as children. I was telling my dear friend the other day, Black people are not born free in this country until 1974. We'll do the math at a different time, but I think if we can agree that that is the case, Black people begin to be born free in this country in 1974, then what? And so you and I are first generation free Black people in this country. Then what does that mean we were taught by our closest teachers who cared about us and loved us the most of anybody ever on the planet, our parents, right? And so how do we interact with our peers and the rest of the world as first generation free Blacks? What were we given by Blacks and grandparents? A lot of us raised by grandparents. What were we taught by African Americans who were simply not born free? And so Bernie Sanders has massive blind spots at best, right, about his view of the American experience and what to do going forward, because I cannot imagine that he understands what it is to be first generation free Black or previous generations African Americans, even though they were his peers by age, right? And so, we need not deify Bernie Sanders, but I fully accept him into the large tent, even if everybody on our side of the tent is simply, how the hell do we get away from this? Because this is destruction. What we have right now does not leave us as a functional democracy or, frankly, any type of free people, not only 50 years from now, but 10 years from now.
Experience Karen Hunter
in a completely different way.
Karen Hunter is awesome. The podcast.
If you like me on SiriusXM Urban View Channel 126, you're gonna love me in Karen Hunter is Awesome. Hey, this is Karen Hunter, host of the Karen Hunter Show on SiriusXM's Urban View. Karen Hunter is Awesome is an actual podcast to bring heat and energy and knowledge and power, a 1-2 punch that I don't think you get anyplace else. Tell the truth. Check out the podcast wherever you get your podcast. You will not be disappointed.